It's time for Okaloosa Eye on Crime, and we have some cases we know someone out there can help our local law enforcement agency solve. And in doing so, they could earn a cash reward.
And this show, we're going to meet a longtime Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office dispatcher who's pursuing her dream of moving from behind the communications desk to behind the wheel of a patrol car.
And we're also going to feature a law enforcement chaplain who just received international recognition for his service and expertise. But let's get started first with some of those cases law enforcement agencies are asking for some help with. And first up, in August, it will have been 14 years since the death of Michelle, known as Shelley, Metters, and the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is still asking for information which might help solve the case. Now, 15-year-old Shelley was one of 3 girls standing on the eastbound sidewalk of US 98 in Destin near the Big Kahuna's Water Park on the evening of August 10, 2002, when a vehicle struck 2 of the girls, then continued eastbound without stopping. One of the girls received serious injuries, but Shelley actually died as a result of her injuries. And solving the case would bring closure to a family that's been grieving for 14 years the death of their daughter and sister. So anybody with information, you know how to contact us, 863-TIPS or emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com.
You know, and I wanted to mention that Shelley Metters' mother had told me that at this point, she would, even a deathbed confession from someone admitting that they were involved in this or that they know who was, she would be grateful for that much, just to have some sort of closure in that case. Next up, we want you to take a good look at this picture. The Walton County Sheriff's Office is investigating a sexual battery that took place on June 17th between 12:15 and 3:30 in the morning, and it took place at a beach access on East County Highway 30A in the Seabreeze neighborhood. The victim, who's 17, said she left her home walking and a man pulled up next to her in a van that was labeled taxi and offered her a ride. She didn't have any money to pay him and told him so, but he stated he would still give her a ride because she was too young to be out walking. She rode with him to pick up some subjects. He dropped those folks off at their destination, took her back to Walton County and to the beach accident where she says the incident took place.
And next up, someone stole nearly $10,000 worth of beach umbrellas from beach boxes located near the Osteen Beach Access off Gulf Shore Drive in Destin on Sunday night, June 19th, and then threw a portion of them into a nearby pond. An employee of the Emerald Grand said he arrived at work about 8:15 Monday morning and noticed some of the beach boxes were open. He spotted 10 umbrellas in the water and says another approximately 80 umbrellas were missing. Now, the stolen umbrellas have 7-foot wooden poles and 6-foot in diameter blue canvas with Emerald Grand printed on them. Now, deputies did find 4 of them in a nearby pond and 1 in the pond's weed, but another 5 were found in sand dunes near the west end of the pond. Anybody with information, contact the Sheriff's Office or Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers.
And back on May 10th, 2 men entered the Destin Walmart, and one of them removed 3 cell phones from a display case while the other acted as a lookout. So you got a look at them right here, and the phones were concealed in one of the individual's pants, and they both departed the store without paying. Those phones were valued at nearly $1,700.
And the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is also looking for the individual who burglarized the Boost Mobile retail store at 722 Bill Parkway in Fort Walton Beach at about 10:20 p.m. back on June 28th. Now, the thief entered, forced entry through the rear door of the business, stole some phones and other items, and then took off. If you have any information about this burglary, of course, contact the Sheriff's Office or Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers anonymously.
And actually a pretty good look at that individual there, so we're thinking somebody out there probably knows who this is or has a clue. Next up, we've got the Sheriff's Office in Okaloosa County asking for help identifying another couple using stolen credit cards. You see this happening over and over. This is back on May 1st, where a car burglary took place at Captain Dave's on Scenic Highway 98 in Destin, and then the thieves used the stolen credit cards at several locations in Destin, and they were driving a crossover white SUV. So anybody who thinks they may know who these folks are, contact the Sheriff's Office or, of course, Crime Stoppers.
And you might remember this one from last month, but the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is actually still trying to identify this individual that robbed the Circle K store located at 180 Mariester Boulevard during the early morning hours of April 30th. The attendant says a white male wearing a yellow hat, tan shorts, and white shirt came in about 1:45, made a small purchase, then he demanded money, took off south behind a neighboring business into a wooded area. He's described as a thin white male, about 50 to 60 years old, 5'8" feet tall, and 150 pounds with short, possibly thinning gray hair. So take a look at that. If you know who he is, give us a call.
And next we have a missing person that the Niceville Police Department's trying to locate. 19-year-old Jacob Irvin Lyon disappeared in November of last year. He's 5'8" tall, weighs about 135 pounds. He's got short brown hair and brown eyes. Now, Jacob was last seen wearing a white t-shirt and shorts, and he also has a scar on his chin, so any information on Jacob would be appreciated.
And of course, we also want to remind people too, these and other cases you can go view on our website, emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com, and you can actually submit tips directly from that website as well, so go take a look.
Okay, also I think we need to mention that these are all verified as of today's taping date.
Yep, which is July 15th, 2016. Some of the first responders who were heard but not seen are the dispatchers who are the lifeline between citizens and law enforcement.
Now, one Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office dispatcher in particular has served this county for many years, but she's now hoping to switch from one role of service to another.
911, do you need police, fire, or medical?
Angie Barrow always dreamed of becoming a law enforcement officer, but her plans got sidetracked.
About 19 years ago, I was interested in going into law enforcement, and I was either going to go into the Air Force or into go out to the academy to be a deputy. And I got pregnant with my son, and I decided I need to do something else.
Ultimately, Angie became a different kind of first responder, a dispatcher for the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, a calm, competent, caring voice for citizens and deputies alike, for both routine calls and in times of crisis.
Okay, thank you.
But over the past nearly 2 decades in communications, that goal of donning a deputy's uniform was never far from the surface. It was just waiting for the right time. And after caring for her elderly grandparents and successfully raising 6 kids, Angie's decided the right time is now. Her encounter with the official empty nest syndrome prompted her to begin a new chapter. She entered the Law Enforcement Training Academy at Northwest Florida State College to work towards becoming a deputy, a profession she believes is not a job, but a calling to protect people, to provide a safer community, to help others.
You're helping a wide variety of people. I mean, from children to elderly and some can't help themselves, so that's what I want to do.
So in June 2016, you'll find Angie Barrow behind a different type of desk, a student's desk at the Law Enforcement Academy. She notices she's a bit older than most of her classmates.
I said, am I too old for this though? Because I was thinking 44 years old is kind of old to start a new career, but you're never too old to start a new career. I don't think. Not now, because I'm doing it.
When it comes to understanding what a deputy's job entails, the dangers, the challenges, the risks and rewards, she has an advantage that can't be overstated, but still has much to learn. Angie expects to graduate in July and then apply for a job as a deputy sheriff, preferably at the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office.
I'm going to
You'd
apply
like
at
to stay with this
Okaloosa. I would
agency?
like to stay with this agency,
And why
yes.
is that?
Because it's my home.
There will still be obstacles like an entire year of field training to overcome, but Angie knows that just because a dream is delayed doesn't mean it disappears.
And we want to say congratulations to Angie Barrow on her graduation recently. And we also want to mention there's a strong precedent for transitioning successfully from dispatch to deputy at the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office.
That's right. Deputy Jessica Prejean is one of those who recently made the switch in the past couple of years and is enjoying an extraordinary career as a deputy sheriff.
She certainly is.
And now we're going to take a look at some of the fugitives being sought in our area. But before we do that, I do want to mention that we now have a new way for you, the public, to submit anonymous tips, where in the past we were able to accept SMS text messages, and we're no longer doing that. But now we have actually a mobile tip submission, and all you have to do is go to P3Tips, that's the letter P, the number 3, tips.com, and you can see it all right there on that graphic, and you can submit it from your mobile phone, from a computer, laptop, tablet, or whatever, and it's, again, just completely anonymous, just like the text tipping was, only now you actually have more characters, so you can provide more information to us, of course, anonymously.
So new and improved.
New and improved, but first up, we are looking for Gregory Bennett Ismert, who's 30 years old. He's wanted for trafficking in methamphetamine, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Also searching for Stephen Daniel Hurst. He's wanted for possession of methamphetamine with intent to sell, deliver, or manufacture. His last known address was on Oak Crest Drive in Freeport.
And we're looking for 41-year-old Jerry Antonio Blackshear, and he's wanted for violation of probation for home invasion robbery, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
And you can earn a cash reward if you can help lawmen locate Edward Lamont Fountain. He's 36, and he's wanted for failure to appear on charges of carrying a concealed weapon, possession of weapon or ammo by a convicted felon, possession of a controlled substance and narcotics equipment, as well as driving with his license suspended or revoked, last known to live on Wilson Street in Crestview.
And some good news, George Arthur Kelly has been located since our last show.
But not Austin Gregory Geis, a 40-year-old wanted by Defuniak Springs police for aggravated battery with a firearm. He's the suspect in a drive-by shooting that took place back on February 29th in the area of Woodward Avenue and Michigan Street around 10:20 in the morning.
And deputies are still looking for Bart Storm McDonald, who was wanted for violation of probation for burglary and grand theft, as well as failure to appear for fraud and vehicle theft, last known to live in Crestview.
Now here's some charges you don't see every day. Willie Maurice Floyd wanted for coordinating in a retail theft over $3,000 and possession of anti-shoplifting control devices.
And a new face to this month's show is Jacob Nariah Blankenship, and he is wanted for violation of probation for grand theft.
But we get to take an old face off because Keenan Jamal Bogan has been located.
But we're still looking for 25-year-old Sean Oliver Rowlett Jr., who's wanted by the Fort Walton Beach Police Department for grand theft, dealing in stolen property and fraud, last known to live on 2nd Street in Fort Walton Beach.
Now here's a former Niceville resident, Jeremy Scott Francis. He's wanted for violating probation on charges of grand theft, possession of a controlled substance, as well as non-payment of child support.
And 42-year-old Sherry Ann Horner is wanted for violation of probation for felony battery, last known to live on Green Street in Fort Walton Beach. Now, this next story is about a person who's been called a shining example of caring and compassion, whose good works are impacting virtually every facet of the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office.
And I can tell you that this individual does not like recognition, but when you're named the top law enforcement chaplain out of 2,500 worldwide in an organization, your impact certainly needs to be celebrated. Now, Chaplain Carter told me he spent 30 years and 30 days, to be precise, in the United States Air Force, and that was an experience he loved. He says he got involved in the chaplaincy while in the service in England, and it all started when he became a volunteer bus driver for the choir, and his wife, of course, was on the choir.
And he left the Air Force in 2002 and went on to get both his bachelor's in theology and master's of divinity.
He is one special individual.
Yes, he is.
Now, speaking of good deeds, Emerald Coast Crimestoppers, of course, lets you help local law enforcement solve local crimes and get wanted individuals off the streets.
And that's right. And of course, you never have to give your name. And if your information leads to an arrest, you could earn a cash reward of up to $3,000. And again, you can call 863-TIPS. You can go to emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com and submit a web tip, or go to the mobile app now and submit it through there. All three very easy and very anonymous ways to provide information.
And this program has been incredibly successful because so many people out there have taken advantage of it. I think because the coordinator and the board of directors have done such a phenomenal job. And it's just been pretty amazing when you look at the accomplishments over the time span that this has been in effect. So we just want to thank all the folks out there that are getting involved and say, keep those tips coming in. Now we want to give you a chance to use that new method, if you can, by looking at another list of some suspects that are being searched for.
And first up on this list is 24-year-old Jordan Christopher Reeves, who's wanted by the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office for the murder of Timothy Stocker Jr. in the parking lot of a nightclub on Okaloosa Island back on August 9th of last year. Now, he's also wanted by the Orange County Sheriff's Office for attempted murder. He was last known to live in Crestview, but I think law enforcement officials don't believe that he's still there.
Yeah, and I think hopefully his time's going to run out.
Yes.
Because he's been on the run here for a while. Now our favorite 4 words, located since last show, and that applies to Joseph Donald Baxter.
But we're still looking for 46-year-old George Monroe Emmerich II, and he's wanted for violation of probation for domestic violence, strangulation, and aggravated battery.
Okay, so there's a violent individual that we need to get off the streets. Next, we have Robert Lee Thompson. Thompson's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for burglary, and they think he might be staying in the Panama City Beach area.
And the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is looking for Ivanel Baramov. Not sure if I said that right. He's wanted for violation of probation for grand theft, last known to live on Plew Avenue here in Shalimar.
Oh, you got another tough name. Alex Wilmer. What do you give it a shot? Mondragon. Wanted by the sheriff's. I like dragon better. Wanted by the sheriff's office for sexual battery, sex offense against a child, and lewd and lascivious molestation. So no matter how you pronounce his name, certainly need to locate him. His last known address was on Spencer Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
And the Walton County Sheriff's Office is looking for Brittany Linnell Sanders. She's wanted for violation of probation for create, use, or possess counterfeit credit cards with intent to use counterfeit information.
And in Walton County, this individual, Troy Clayton Gavin, is wanted for failing to register as a sexual offender. His last known address was in Ponce de Leon.
And another tricky name, but we'll try it, William James Barcheski, who's 31 years old. He's wanted for resisting arrest with violence and trespassing, last known to live on Rainbow Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
And we've got another one of our located since last show for Michael Scotty Laravidi.
Yeah, and he was a long-time feature on the show, so good to hear that. Next up is Joshua James Pickard, who's wanted for violation of probation for possession with intent to sell, manufacture, or deliver a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, and possession of paraphernalia, last known to live up in Defeniak Springs.
And Emerald Coast Crimestoppers wants to hear from you if you know where to find Audrey Shea Pendarvis, wanted for violation of probation on DUI and failure to appear.
And 35-year-old Juan Ramon Marquez is wanted by the Fort Walton Beach Police Department for trafficking in stolen property, last known to live on Jonquil Avenue in Fort Walton Beach.
And Roderick Rutterson Jr. is wanted for possession of synthetic narcotics within 1,000 feet of a school, as well as failure to appear for driving with a license while suspended or revoked, last known to live over on Mooney Road in Fort Walton Beach.
And last up on this list is Mark Robert Fitzgerald, who's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for grand theft and contracting without a license, and he was last known to live in Santa Rosa Beach.
And next up, we want to talk about a problem that is county-wide that all the municipalities are having, as well as the Sheriff's Office continuing to have. Just for one example, since June 26th, more than a half dozen firearms have been stolen from unlocked cars in Okaloosa County. That's at the Sheriff's Office. And the Sheriff's Office is asking residents and citizens alike to, again, please avoid leaving a weapon in an unlocked car.
That's right. Actually, we issued a news release last year on the problem. About 71 guns were reported stolen between August of 2014 and August of 2015 alone. And the vast majority from cars that had been left unlocked. In fact, about 90% of the Sheriff's Office reported car burglaries during that time frame were to vehicles that were unsecured.
And Sheriff Larry Ashley addressed this issue last year as well, and it still holds true, so take a listen at what he had to say.
the last 10 years, we've had nearly 500 firearms stolen. 22% of that 500 were stolen last year in 2014. So, we've had this message, take, lock, hide your things in your car. Don't leave your car unlocked. It seems like people, go to the beach, they can't carry their gun in their swimming trunk, so they leave it in the car. Just lock it. It's those crimes of opportunity, but that's a lot of guns on the street. When you start talking about 500 guns over the last 10 years, it gets to be an issue.
Now, for more information, you can contact the Sheriff's Office Crime Prevention Manager, Ashley Bailey, at 850-259-0031.
Well, and guess what we're going to talk about next? Pokemon Go. And of course, everyone knows that fever is sweeping all across the planet, actually, not just here locally. But we want to emphasize that players really need to focus on safety, and non-players need to be aware that this game is going on, and there are people that are roaming around who are not always paying attention to their surroundings. We're already seeing reports coming in from across the country about folks stepping in front of cars, not paying attention, people texting or driving, playing Pokemon Go, which is a no-no. So got some tips here we're going to go over in a second.
Yeah, so towards that end, users need to respect places of businesses and private property. Do not wander around in La La Land. Be aware of where you are and who is around you at all times. Police in O'Fallon, Missouri actually arrested 3 people in connection with a string of armed robberies they say targeted the victims through the Pokemon Go app. Don't try to catch Pokemon and drive. Distracted driving, of course, is a major safety hazard. Distracted walking is also a major hazard. Pay attention to where you are walking and be aware of intersections and busy roads. Don't play alone. Users should travel in groups. And again, practice situational awareness and report any suspicious behavior to law enforcement.
And in fact, knowing people that are playing this game, they say it is a lot of fun. They love it. They're getting out, they're exercising, they're meeting new people. So there's a lot of pros to Pokemon Go. We just simply want to make people aware that you need to be paying attention to what you're doing, where you're going, and be careful about going on private property. We've already had situations reported where people have shown up even behind businesses, where someone's called in and thought it was suspicious. So we just want people to be alert to the potential for there to be misunderstandings and try to stay off private property and from behind businesses and things, especially at night. And that's probably going to do it for this show. We appreciate you joining us.
See you next time.